Welcome to MCAP Math 6, MCAP Section 3, Calculator. All right, let's go. Laura uses 3 yards of fabric to make 2 skirts. All right, so it's like this. We have a yards of fabric. So she went to the fabric store. She got like 3 yards. And that gave her 2 skirts. I'm just trying to make sense of the problem. She used the same amount of fabric for each skirt naturally, right? Like one was divided by 2, 1.5. At this rate, what is the total amount of fabric in yards she needs to make 6 skirts? Okay, so first of all, we can take that 3 yards and divide it by 2. And so 2 goes into 3 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. And then to divide with decimals, we just add a 0 and then bring that 0 down. 2 goes into 10. Oh, and decimal point there. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So that means each skirt, that one skirt is 1.5 yards. And so 6 skirts we just got to do 6 times 1.5, which is 9. So 6, and then that is the yards, right? Yards of fabric. So she's making 6 skirts. They each take 1.5 yards, so 9 yards. Okay, a little bit of unit rate action there. Taking the ratio and then simplifying it. Packages of bottled water are purchased for a 6th grade picnic. Okay, each package contains 24 bottles of water. Okay, so I know what these look like, you know, the 24 bottles. H2O, right? Which graph models the relationship between the X is the number of packages and Y is the number of bottles of water? Ah, okay. So this is one package, but each package is 24. And so X is the number of packages. So we want to see that on the X-axis. So I see that. Do I see that on all my X-axes? Okay, all right. So it's not the labels that are wrong. So that's good. Okay, let me erase whatever. So now we know that the number of packages, if we have 0 packages, then how many bottles of water do we have? 0. So this one could not be right because 0 is not 0. So 0 is 24? No. 24 would be for 1 package, right? So, hey, let's look for 124. And that's what we see here. So this is a possibility. 1 package is 24. And we know that means 2 is 48. 2 is 48, yep. So let's see, any of the others do that? No. This one, C doesn't start at 0, and D, it's 112. So the answer is B. Any questions? Let's move on. 3, the diagram. Okay, so right, I see this net and I'm thinking, before I even read the question, this is a question about surface area. And this thing is called a net. So nets. That's the topic. The diagram shows the net of a wooden chest in the shape of a rectangular prism. All dimensions are in feet. Okay, so what are we trying to do? Find the area of all these faces. A painter will apply stain to all the faces of the wooden chest. The calculations that painter uses to find the surface area in square feet are shown. Okay. The total surface area is 12.5 plus 16.5 plus 24.5 equals 53.5. What mistake was made? Find the correct surface area. Okay, so let's find the correct surface area. So this 3.5 means that all of these segments are 3.5. And this 4.5, same thing. So we have a 4.5 all the way across because they're rectangles. And this 2.5 means that this is 2.5. This 3.5, this 2.5 means that above is 2.5. So now we have all the dimensions. And in order to figure out the areas of each rectangle, we just multiply the height and the base together. So what is 2.5 times 3.5? 8.75. I hope I'm, so is that 8 3/4. All right, 4.5 times 3.5, 15.75. So that's 50, which is 15 3/4. Sorry, I just want to do my calculations in decimals. Oh, this top one is also 8 3/4. So, but you should know your fourths. If you don't know your fourths, you need to know your fourths. They are, memory decimals. So that's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So in my calculator, I'm taking and doing 0.5, but then when I see a 0.75, I'm making it 3/4 because in the question I see they didn't use decimals. Okay, 2.5 times 4.5. What's that? 0.5 times 4.5. 11.25, so 11 1/4. And then 4.5 times 3.5. 15 3/4, 15.75. And 4.5 times 2.5, 11 1/4. Okay, so that is, so 2.5 times 3.5. So I did that right here. 2.5 times 3.5 is 8 3/4. So this is not right. 12.5, that's not right. Okay, 2.2 and 4. Where is that one? 2 and 4, that's 11 1/4. Well, this is not right either. Oh, he multiplied it by 2. Okay, so what mistake was made in the calculation? Well, let's see, what are we doing here? What are we, just multiply the whole numbers and then add the fractions? Can you do that? I would convert them to improper fractions and then multiply them and then simplify them to a mixed number. Isn't that what you would do? I see that we're multiplying the whole numbers and then adding the multiplication of the fractions, but all those answers are wrong. So even none of what I got is what this person got. So you can do that when you add fractions, but when you multiply fractions, you have to convert to an improper fraction and then multiply them and then reduce it to a mixed number. That's the way I do it. Okay, so now let's add all areas to get the correct surface area. So take out my calculator, 8.75 times 2. I see 2 of those, right? Plus 15.75 times 2. I do like how the painter did that. Plus 11.25 times 2. 71. 50 feet squared. So that's the correct area. And this painter was acting like he was adding fractions when he was multiplying fractions. So that was the error. All right, let's move on to 4. The expression 12x plus 8 is equal to the expression a times bx plus c, where b and c are constants. That means just numbers and have no common factors. So a student wrote the answer 2 times 6x plus 4. Okay. Oh, it's equivalent. Is it equivalent? So if we distribute, then we would get 12x plus 8. Oh. So, but the only thing is, where a, b, and c are constants have no common factors. So this is equivalent to this, but 6 and 4 still have a common factor of 2. So we could divide these things not just by 2, but by 4. So if I divide by 4, then I would have 4 is 12 divided by 4 is 3x plus 2. So that student took out a common factor, but not the greatest common factor. Student's answer is incorrect because the greatest common factor of 12x and 8 is 2x. No, it's 4. It's 4. Because there is 4x. No, the greatest common factor is 4. Oh, okay, 4. Let's see. 5. An art teacher has a jar containing 3/4 pounds of glitter for use by the students in a class. The glitter is being separated into portions that are 1/10 pounds of glitter. That sounds like division, right? So we're taking as a jar 3/4 a pound of glitter. Okay. So we're taking that 3/4 and then we're separating it into portions that are 1/10. So we're dividing it by 1/10. What is the greatest number of whole portions to be made? So we would flip and multiply 10 over 1, 30 over 4, right? Multiply across 30, 4, and then so that is 20. So that's 7 and 2/4, I believe, just 7.5. So 7 full jars and then half a jar. And so the question is, one student incorrectly obtains the answer of 4/3 times 10 over 1 equals 40 over 3. Huh? 4/3 is 3/4. 3/4. So they flipped both of them. You're only supposed to flip the second fraction when you're dividing. Explain the mistake. They flipped both fractions, not just the second one. Was the correct answer? Well, here it is, 7.5. So 7 portions can be made. All right, 7 portions. Don't flip both your fractions when you're multiplying. Students in a science class measured rain by writing down the depth of water in a bucket that collected the rain. The bucket was empty before the rain began to fall at a steady rate over a 6-hour period during school. After 3 hours, the water had a depth of 18 millimeters. At what average rate, unit rate, in millimeters per hour did the bucket fill after rain? So this is a unit rate problem. Okay, so we know that 3 hours, 18 milliliters, right? So we take and we divide, we want to know milliliters per hour. So was 18 divided by 3 is 6 milliliters per 1 hour. And then we can check, would that be, if 6 fell and then 6 fell again, that'd be 12, and then 6 more, that would be 18. So at what average rate per hour? 6 milliliters per hour. Unit rate. You think that's important for this test? I do. I've seen quite a bit of it. The histogram. All right, so the following histogram summarizes the recorded number of push-ups that a group of fitness instructors completed in a certain time period. Each interval contains possible values at the left endpoint up to but not including the right endpoint. Okay, so we're not including the right endpoint, just the left. So that means in this bar, the push-ups are 36, 37, 38, but not 39. You know, that so there's one person. Okay, so what's the question? What is the total number of fitness instructors represented in the histogram who completed 57 or more? So 57 is not included in this bar. It is included in this bar. And then we have that bar, and then we have that bar. So this bar goes up to 4. This bar goes up 1 and 1. So 4 plus 1 plus 1 is 6. See? The last one. Stop. All right, let me press stop. And I'll see you again in section 4.